Lauren Carter was checking water samples in Lab 3 when the alarm started screaming. She looked up from her microscope, confused. Europa Station had never had an emergency drill during research hours. Something was wrong. The lights flickered and died. Emergency reds kicked in, bathing everything in blood-colored shadows. Lauren heard screaming from the corridor outside. Then she heard something worse: weapons fire, the sharp crack of plasma rifles cutting through metal and flesh. She ran to the door and locked it. Her hands shook as she tried to think. Europa Station was a research facility. They studied the ocean beneath the ice moon's surface. They had no weapons, no soldiers, nothing that could fight back against whatever was attacking them. The door exploded inward. Lauren fell backward, hitting her head on a lab table. Through blurred vision, she saw them, tall figures in dark armor, moving with purpose through the smoke. They were not human. Their heads were too long, their limbs bent at wrong angles, and their eyes glowed with orange light. One of them grabbed her. Its grip was like iron, crushing her arm until she cried out. It said something in a language that sounded like gravel grinding against metal. Another one responded. They were talking about her like she was cargo. Lauren tried to fight. She kicked and scratched and bit. The alien holding her barely noticed. It hit her across the face with casual violence, and everything went dark. When she woke up, she was in a cage. The metal floor vibrated beneath her, the steady hum of engines telling her she was on a ship. Her head pounded, and her mouth tasted like blood. She sat up slowly, trying to understand where she was. The cage was small, maybe 3 meters by 3 meters. The bars glowed with some kind of energy field that buzzed when she got close. Beyond the bars, she could see other cages, other humans. Most were unconscious. Some were crying. A man in the cage next to hers was awake. He was maybe 30, with short brown hair and the kind of tan that came from working outdoors. He saw her looking and gave a weak smile. "You okay?" he asked. His voice was rough. "Where are we?" Lauren managed. "On their ship. Been awake for about an hour. Name's Danny Wright. I was flying cargo between the colonies when they hit my ship." Lauren told him her name. They talked quietly, comparing what they knew. It was not much. The aliens had hit fast, taking prisoners from multiple colonies across the outer system. No one knew why. Over the next few hours, more prisoners woke up. Amy Foster, an engineer from Titan Station, Kevin Price, a colonist from Ganymede who looked too young to be away from Earth. They all had the same story: sudden attack, overwhelming force, capture. The ship traveled for days. The aliens fed them once per cycle, throwing food packs through slots in the cages. The food was bland but edible. They gave them water. They did not speak to them or explain anything. Lauren spent the time watching the aliens when they came through. She was a scientist. Observation was what she did. The aliens were roughly humanoid, but bigger, heavier. Their armor looked organic, like it had been grown instead of built. They moved with confidence, like they had done this many times before. On the 5th day, the ship's engines changed pitch. They were slowing down. The aliens came through the holding area and started opening cages. They separated prisoners by species. The humans were grouped together, about 40 of them total. They were herded through corridors and into a large bay. Through the windows, Lauren saw a planet. It was mostly desert, with 2 suns hanging in a purple sky. Cities dotted the surface, connected by roads that glowed even from orbit. The ship landed. The aliens marched them down a ramp and into blinding daylight. The heat hit Lauren like a wall. The air was dry and smelled like dust and something sharp she could not identify. They were in some kind of facility. Tall walls surrounded a complex of buildings made from dark stone. Crowds of aliens lined the streets, watching the prisoners march past. Some pointed, some laughed. Lauren felt like an animal being led to market. They were taken underground. down stone stairs worn smooth by countless feet, down into a maze of corridors lit by glowing panels, down into holding cells that smelled like fear and old blood. Lauren's cell had 4 bunks, a water dispenser, and a toilet. Amy was put in the same cell. They sat on the bunks in silence for a long time. Finally, Amy spoke. "I heard some of the guards talking. I know a little of their language from trading with aliens near Titan. This is an arena. They make prisoners fight for entertainment." Lauren felt cold despite the heat. "Fight what?" "Each other. Other species. Whatever they think will be interesting." Amy's voice was flat, empty. "They've had humans here before. No one has ever survived more than one match." That night, Lauren could not sleep. She listened to the sounds filtering down from above, roaring crowds, the clash of weapons, screams that ended suddenly. She thought about Earth, about the ocean, about her research into deep-sea creatures that survived in impossible conditions. She had always admired their ability to adapt, to find ways to live where nothing should be able to live. Now, she needed to do the same. On the 3rd day, guards came to her cell. They were different from the ones on the ship. These wore red armor and carried weapons that crackled with energy. One pointed at Lauren. "You," it said in broken English. "You fight today." They took her to a preparation room, stripped her station uniform and gave her simple clothes. Gray fabric that felt rough against her skin. No shoes, no protection. An alien that looked like a medical technician scanned her with a device. It clicked its mandibles in what might have been amusement. It said something to the guards. They laughed. One guard spoke to her. "Your kind is weak, soft. You will die quickly, but you will die with honor in the arena. This is more than your species deserves." They led her down a tunnel. The roar of the crowd grew louder with each step. Light appeared ahead, bright and harsh. The tunnel opened into the arena floor. The creature came at Lauren like a freight train, 4 tons of muscle and armor, moving faster than something that size had any right to move. Its name was Gresh, and it had killed 50 opponents in this arena. The crowd loved it. Lauren threw herself sideways. The creature's claws missed her by centimeters, cutting through the air where she had been standing. Sand exploded where it struck, showering her with hot particles. She rolled and came up running. Her feet burned on the hot sand, but she ignored the pain. She needed space to think, space to understand what she was fighting. Gresh turned with surprising speed for something so large. It roared, a sound that shook Lauren's bones. The crowd roared back, loving the show. They thought this would be over in seconds. Another weak human. Another quick death. Lauren's mind raced. She had seen creatures like this before, in her studies. Not exactly like this, but similar. Heavily armored herbivores from Earth's past. Animals that evolved thick protection because they were too slow to run from predators. But this was not Earth. This creature was a predator. It had that confidence, that aggressive stance. It had evolved to fight, not to flee. She watched how it moved. 4 legs meant stability, but also predictability. It could not turn as quickly as something on 2 legs. Its armor was heaviest on its back and sides, protecting vital organs, but armor that thick was heavy. It would tire eventually. Gresh charged again. This time, Lauren was ready. She waited until the last possible second, watching its eyes. Eyes told you everything. They showed you where something was looking, where it planned to strike. She dodged left. Gresh's right claw came around in a backswing, trying to catch her. She dropped flat, and the claw passed over her head. As it passed, she saw something. A gap in the armor where the shoulder joint connected, just a small gap, barely visible. She rolled away before Gresh could stomp on her. Her lungs burned. The air here was thinner than Earth standard, with less oxygen. But it was thicker than what this creature was used to. She could see information panels around the arena displaying planetary data. Gresh came from a world with even less atmosphere than this one. That meant its lungs worked differently. It was more efficient with oxygen, but probably could not process it as fast as she could. Lauren's human lungs, built for Earth's rich atmosphere, would take in more with each breath. She kept moving, never stopping, making Gresh turn, making it chase her. Each movement cost it energy. Each breath gave her a tiny advantage. 5 minutes passed. The crowd's cheering changed pitch. This was lasting longer than expected. The weak human was supposed to die quickly. Instead, she was still running. Gresh was getting angry. Lauren could see it in how the creature moved. Less controlled now, more aggressive. Anger made mistakes. Anger made patterns predictable. 10 minutes. Gresh was breathing harder. Its movements were slightly slower. Not much, but enough. Lauren's legs screamed at her to stop, but she kept going. This was what humans did. They ran, they chased, they outlasted. She remembered her training back on Earth. Marathon running in college. The pain that came around kilometer 30, when your body wanted to quit but your mind pushed through. This was the same, just with higher stakes. 15 minutes. Gresh stumbled. Just a little, just for a second. But Lauren saw it. The creature's front right leg was favoring slightly. An old injury maybe, or just fatigue setting in. She changed her pattern, started circling to that side, making Gresh put more weight on the bad leg. The creature noticed and tried to compensate, but that meant exposing its left side more. 20 minutes. The crowd was no longer cheering. They were confused, maybe even concerned. Their champion was struggling against prey that should have died in the first exchange. Lauren saw her chance. Gresh lunged forward, trying to end this. Its weight went forward onto its front legs. The shoulder joint on the right side opened up, that tiny gap in the armor spreading just a bit wider. She moved in instead of away. It was the last thing Gresh expected. She ducked under its guard and drove her fist into that gap with everything she had. Her hand screamed with pain. It felt like punching a brick wall. But she felt something give, felt warm liquid on her knuckles. Gresh's blood was orange, bright and hot. Gresh screamed. It reared back, trying to get away from her. For the first time in the fight, the creature looked uncertain. It had been hurt. The prey had become predator. The crowd went silent. Lauren did not give it time to recover. She pressed forward, targeting the same spot. Gresh tried to protect it, but that meant leaving other areas exposed. She struck at joints, at the softer armor under its arms, at its eyes. She was not stronger than Gresh, not even close. But she was faster now. It was tired, hurting, confused. She was riding on adrenaline and the knowledge that stopping meant death. 25 minutes. Gresh was bleeding from multiple wounds. Its breathing came in ragged gasps. It tried to charge one more time, but its legs gave out halfway through. It crashed into the sand, unable to rise. Lauren stood over it, her own body shaking with exhaustion. She had no idea if she was supposed to kill it or if victory was enough. She looked up at the stands, at the thousands of alien faces staring back at her in shock. One alien stood up. It wore elaborate armor and carried itself with authority. It raised one arm and made a gesture. The crowd murmured. Guards rushed onto the arena floor. They went to Gresh first, checking its wounds. Then they came to Lauren. She tensed, ready to fight again if she had to, but they just gestured for her to follow. They led her back through the tunnel, back to her cell. Amy was there, staring at her with wide eyes. "You won," Amy whispered. "You actually won." Lauren collapsed onto her bunk. Every muscle in her body hurt. Her hand was broken, she was pretty sure. Burns covered her feet. But she was alive. "How many humans have fought here before?" Lauren asked. Amy's voice was quiet. "Maybe 100 over the past few years. None of them won. Most died in the first few minutes." Lauren looked at her broken hand. It was already swelling. "They're going to make me fight again, aren't they?" Amy nodded. That night, Lauren lay on her bunk and thought. She had her the second opponent was called Kess. It belonged to a species called the Ceruleans, hunters from a world with a dim red sun. They could see in spectrums humans could not, seeing heat signatures and electrical fields that made hiding almost impossible. Kess moved like liquid shadow across the arena sand. Its bladed arms caught the light, sharp enough to cut through bone. The crowd was larger today. Word had spread about the human who beat Gresh. They wanted to see if it was luck or something more. Lauren knew she could not outrun Kess. The creature was built for speed. She also knew it could see her body heat, watch her muscles prepare to move before she even moved. Fighting directly would be suicide. So she did not fight directly. She grabbed handfuls of arena sand and threw them into the air. The hot particles created a cloud that scattered heat signatures. Kess hesitated. Its advantage suddenly reduced. Lauren kept moving, kept throwing sand, kept creating chaos. Kess adapted, using its hearing to track her. But Lauren had expected that. She stomped heavily in one direction while moving quietly in another. She threw rocks to create false sounds. She used every trick she could think of to confuse the predator's senses. The fight lasted 40 minutes. When it ended, Kess lay unconscious in the sand, exhausted and disoriented. Lauren had not killed it. She had simply outlasted it, made it use its energy chasing false signals until it could not continue. The crowd's reaction was different this time. No shock, but something else. Interest, maybe. Curiosity. They sent her back to her cell. Amy and Kevin were there now, brought to watch her fights. Danny was in a different section, scheduled for his own match soon. "How are you doing this?" Kevin asked. He was young, maybe 20. His hands shook when he talked. "You're not a soldier. You're not trained for this." Lauren looked at her hands, bruised, cut, but healing. "I'm a scientist. I study things, figure out how they work. These fighters are dangerous, but they all have patterns, weaknesses. I just have to find them before they kill me." 3 days later, they came for her again. The third opponent was Brule, a thoraxian. It stood 4 meters tall and had bones like metal. Its fists could crush stone. The arena floor shook when it walked. Lauren spent the first 10 minutes of the fight running, just running, not even trying to fight back. The crowd booed, thinking she was a coward. But Lauren was studying, watching how Brule moved, where it put its weight, how it balanced that massive frame. Thoraxians came from a high-gravity world. Every movement for them required enormous energy. They were used to short, brutal fights. Nothing on their planet could outlast them because everything there was just as heavy, just as slow. But Lauren was light, fast, built for endurance on a world with comfortable gravity. She kept Brule moving, kept it turning, kept it burning energy. 20 minutes in, Brule started to slow. 30 minutes, and it was breathing hard. 40 minutes, and its swings were getting sloppy. Lauren moved in, not to attack, but to touch. She tapped pressure points she had been studying in the medical texts the technicians left in her cell. Points where nerves ran close to the surface, even on heavily built creatures. Points that caused pain out of proportion to the force applied. Brule's leg gave out. The massive creature crashed down, unable to rise. Lauren had won without landing a real blow. After that fight, something changed. The guards looked at her differently. The crowd's cheering had a different quality. Even the arena masters watched her with new attention. They matched her against a team next. 3 Kirith hunters, pack predators from a twilight world. They moved together with perfect coordination, flanking and herding like wolves after deer. Lauren had to think like prey. She led them to the arena walls where their coordination was disrupted. She climbed partway up the barrier where only one could reach her at a time. She turned their pack tactics into a disadvantage by controlling the space they fought in. She won. Barely. But she won. Fight after fight, opponent after opponent, Lauren kept surviving. More than surviving, she was winning. By her 7th victory, the arena masters called a meeting. Lauren did not know this, locked in her cell below. But above, in chambers carved from dark stone, they argued. "This is impossible," one master said. His name was Vrek, and he had been running arena matches for 50 years. "Humans are weak. We tested them. Category 5 strength, Category 4 speed, Category 3 durability. They should not be able to defeat our fighters." Another master pulled up footage of Lauren's fights. "Look at this. She never fights the same way twice. Against Gresh, she used endurance. Against Kess, she used misdirection. Against Brule, she used anatomy. She adapts to every opponent." "All species adapt," Vrek said. "That is evolution. Not like this, not this fast." The second master zoomed in on Lauren's face during the Brule fight. "See her eyes? She is analyzing, calculating. Her species does not just adapt over generations, they adapt in real time, during the fight itself." A third master spoke up. His name was Krath, and he was oldest among them. "Bring me the initial scan data on humans. Everything we collected when we first encountered them." The data appeared on screens around the chamber. Physical measurements, chemical analysis, genetic mapping. Krath studied it in silence for long minutes. Then he started to laugh. It was not a happy sound. "What is funny?" Rek demanded. "We made an error, a fundamental error in judgment." Krath pointed to the planetary data. "Look at Earth. Gravity, 1.0 standard. Temperature range, extreme. Atmospheric pressure, moderate. Predator density, high. Historical climate, unstable. Do you know what that combination means?" "A comfortable world," Vrek said. "No," Krath's voice was hard. "A death world. Not obvious like high-gravity planets or toxic atmospheres. Subtle. Earth kills with change, with variation, with unpredictability. The species that survived there did not do it by being strong. They did it by being versatile." He pulled up more data. Human history. Traded from merchants who dealt with Earth's colonies. "Look at this. Their planet went through repeated ice ages. The climate shifted every few thousand years. Stable environments favored specialists. Earth favored generalists. It favored creatures that could adapt to anything. But their physical capabilities," another master protested, "they are average at best." "Exactly." Krath highlighted sections of the data. "They are average at everything. Not the strongest, not the fastest, not the most durable, but not the weakest either. They are in the middle for every category. Do you understand what that means?" Silence in the chamber. "It means they have no weaknesses we can exploit. Every other species has a strength and a corresponding weakness. Heavy armor means slow movement. Excellent vision means dependence on light. Powerful muscles mean high energy consumption. Humans have none of these exploitable weaknesses because they evolved to be adequate at everything rather than excellent at one thing." Vrek stared at the footage of Lauren fighting. "What do we do?" Krath considered. "We test her more. We need to find the limit. Every species has one. Even humans." They sent Lauren against stronger opponents, more opponents. They tried different combinations, different environments, different rules. She kept winning. Not easily, not without injury, but she kept adapting, kept finding new ways to survive. By her 10th victory, the crowd no longer booed. They cheered. The human had become their favorite fighter. Not because she was strong or fast or brutal, but because she was interesting. She made them think, made them wonder what she would do next. After Lauren's 10th victory, everything changed. Instead of returning her to the cell, guards escorted her to a different part of the complex. Clean corridors, better lighting. They brought her to a chamber where Krath waited. The old Vakrin studied her with eyes that missed nothing. He gestured to a chair. "Sit. You are not in trouble. I wish to understand you." Lauren sat, wary. Every instinct told her this was dangerous in a different way than the arena. "You have won 10 matches," Krath said. "In 3 cycles of our games, no human has won more than 0. Most die in minutes. You survive and defeat trained warriors from species that should be superior to you in every way." "How?" Lauren met his eyes. "I adapt." "Yes, but how?" Krath leaned forward. "I have studied your fights. You never use the same strategy twice. You learn during combat, changing tactics in real time. This should not be possible." "Why not?" "Because learning requires time, observation, analysis, trial, and error. You do all of this while fighting for your life, while in pain, while exhausted. How does your mind function under such stress?" Lauren thought about her answer. "My species evolved on a planet that changed constantly. Ice ages, droughts, floods. The animals that survived were not the strongest. They were the ones who could think, who could solve problems, who could change their behavior fast enough to match the changing world." Krath made a gesture. Technicians entered the chamber carrying scanning equipment. "I need to understand this better. Will you submit to examination? I promise you will not be harmed." Lauren had little choice. She nodded. The examination took hours. They scanned her brain while she solved puzzles, measured her body while she performed physical tasks, took samples of her blood, her tissue, her genetic material. What they found fascinated and disturbed them. Krath called his fellow arena masters to review the results. Lauren was brought to the chamber to hear what they had discovered about her own species. "Your healing capacity is remarkable," Krath began. "Injuries that would cripple most species for weeks heal in days for you. Your blood contains cells that actively repair damage. Your bones can knit themselves back together. Your skin regenerates. This is not normal." "It's normal for us," Lauren said. "Your brain chemistry is equally unusual. When under stress, your body floods with chemicals that enhance performance, pain suppression, increased strength, faster reflexes. You can function at peak capacity even when injured. Most species shut down when damaged. You become more dangerous." A technician displayed brain scans. "Look at this. Her brain shows unusual activity in the prefrontal cortex during combat simulations. She is analyzing and planning even while fighting. Most species cannot do both simultaneously. The cognitive load is too high." Another technician added data. "Her oxygen processing is inefficient compared to species from low-atmosphere worlds, but she can maintain activity far longer. She does not have burst capability, but her endurance exceeds species twice her size." Krath pulled up comparative data. "We have tested her against our database of known species. Humans rank average in nearly every category. Strength, average. Speed, average. Durability, average. Senses, below average in some areas, average in others. But their recovery, their endurance, their cognitive flexibility under stress, these are all far above average." "What does that mean?" Freck asked. "It means humans evolved in an environment that required constant adaptation, not just over generations, but within individual lifetimes, perhaps even within individual days." Krath brought up planetary data for Earth. "Look at this world. It has extreme seasonal variation, temperature swings of 40 degrees or more, regular storms, tectonic activity, climate instability. And look at this. The planet hosts millions of different species in thousands of different environments." "So," Freck said, "so humans spread across all of it. From the frozen poles to the hot equator, from sea level to high mountains, from deserts to rainforests. They adapted to every environment their planet offered. Most species stay in the environment they evolved for. Humans conquered them all." He showed footage from Earth's history, traded data from human merchants. They developed tools, weapons, fire, clothing, shelter. They changed their environment when they could not change themselves. And when they could not change their environment, they changed their behavior. Another master spoke up. But they are not the strongest species from Earth. Our data shows multiple predators that were larger, faster, more dangerous. Exactly my point, Krath said. They survived not by being the apex predator, but by being too difficult to kill. They could run for hours, chasing prey until it collapsed from exhaustion. They could climb trees to escape ground predators. They could swim to escape land predators. They could use tools to fight things stronger than themselves. They were never the best at anything, but they were adequate at everything, and that was enough. Krath turned to Lauren. Tell me about human warfare. Lauren hesitated. What do you want to know? Everything. How do humans fight their own kind? Lauren thought about history lessons from school. We've been fighting each other for thousands of years, wars that lasted decades. We developed strategies, tactics, weapons. We built entire sciences around combat. Describe a battle. Which kind? Naval, ground, air, space, siege warfare, guerrilla warfare? We have different approaches for different situations. The masters exchanged looks. You have categories of warfare? Of course. Different terrain, different objectives, different forces required different tactics. We study historical battles, learn from mistakes, adapt strategies to new weapons and technologies. This is what concerns me, Krath said quietly. You think about warfare systematically. You analyze it, study it, improve it over time. Most species fight based on instinct and training. You fight based on learning and adaptation. He showed footage of Lauren's arena fights again. In every match, you spend the first several minutes analyzing your opponent. You deliberately take risks to test their capabilities. Then you exploit their weaknesses. This is not instinct. This is systematic problem-solving applied to combat. Is that wrong? Lauren asked. Wrong? No. Terrifying? Yes. Krath's voice was heavy. You are one human, a scientist, not a soldier. Yet you have defeated some of our best arena fighters through analysis and adaptation. Imagine if we had captured a human soldier instead, someone trained specifically for combat, someone with years of study in how to kill efficiently. The chamber fell silent. Imagine, Krath continued, if we had captured 100 human soldiers, or 1,000. Imagine if we had attacked a military installation instead of research stations. Imagine if your species decided to retaliate. Vreck's skin changed color, a sign of distress. They would not. They are not a warrior species. Lauren almost laughed. Not a warrior species? Humans have been at war for most of our recorded history. We've fought over territory, resources, ideas, religions. We've built weapons that could destroy our entire planet. The only reason we stopped was because we finally realized we had a common enemy, the universe itself. So we turned our warfare instinct toward conquering space instead of each other. But you are peaceful now, another master said hopefully. We're peaceful because we choose to be. Because we decided cooperation was more efficient than conflict. But that instinct is still there. That capacity for organized violence. We just redirected it. Lauren looked at each of them. You took humans as prisoners. You put us in your arena. What do you think will happen when Earth finds out? Krath spoke quietly. That is what concerns me. We assumed humans were weak because they were physically average. We did not understand that their strength lies in versatility, adaptation, and the ability to organize complex responses to threats. We did not understand that their planet made them into survivors first and everything else second. He pulled up more data. Trade routes, colony locations, ship movements. Humans have been in space for only a few generations. They already have dozens of colonies, hundreds of ships, thousands of people spreading across nearby systems. They explore, They adapt. They establish themselves in environments that would challenge species that have been spacefaring for centuries. "What are you saying?" Freck demanded. "I am saying we made a catastrophic error. We judged them by our standards, by our categories. Strong, fast, durable. Humans do not fit these categories because they evolved different advantages. They are not the strongest, but they can outlast the strong. They are not the fastest, but they can outthink the fast. They are not the most durable, but they can recover from injuries that would end other species." Krath looked at Lauren with something like respect. And most importantly, they can learn. They can adapt. They can turn any situation to their advantage given time. This human has done it 10 times in our arena. Imagine what humanity could do on a larger scale. He stood, his decision made. "We will send word to all Vakrin forces. Earth is not to be raided again. Humans are not to be taken as prisoners. We will reclassify them from prey to potential threat." "Potential," Rex said. She beat 10 fighters. They came for Lauren on the morning of her 15th scheduled fight. But when the guards opened her cell, they brought formal robes instead of fighting clothes. Amy and Kevin watched in confusion as Lauren was dressed in fabric that shimmered like starlight. "What's happening?" Amy asked. "I don't know," Lauren admitted. But her heart was racing. Something had changed. The guards led her through corridors she had never seen before. Up instead of down, toward natural light instead of artificial. They emerged into the arena, but it looked different in daylight, without the bloodthirsty crowd screaming for violence. Workers were setting up a platform in the center, not for fighting, for speaking. Krath waited there, along with the other arena masters. The stands were filling rapidly, thousands of aliens taking their seats. But the atmosphere was different. This was not entertainment. This was something else. Lauren climbed onto the platform. Her legs shook, not from fear of combat, but from something harder to face. She would have to speak, to explain, to make them understand. Krath addressed the crowd first, his voice amplified across the arena. "We gather today to witness something unprecedented in our history. A human prisoner has won 14 consecutive matches in our arena. 14 victories against species we considered superior. Today, we will hear from this human before her final match. She will speak of her people and we will listen." He stepped aside, giving Lauren the platform. She looked out at thousands of alien faces, some curious, some skeptical, some hostile. She took a breath and began. "My name is Lauren Carter. Before you captured me, I was a scientist. I studied life in extreme environments. I never trained to fight. I never wanted to be a warrior. But your people took me from my home and put me in this arena to die. So I adapted." The crowd murmured. She continued. "You think humans are weak? You tested our strength, our speed, our senses. You found us average at best. You thought this made us easy prey. But you made a mistake. You judged us by the wrong measurements." She gestured to the arena around them. "Every species that fights here evolved to be good at something specific. Heavy armor, fast reflexes, powerful muscles, sharp senses. You come from worlds that rewarded specialization. The strongest survived. The fastest lived. The most well-adapted to your specific environment won." Earth was different. My planet did not reward specialization. It rewarded versatility. Our climate changed constantly. Ice ages came and went. Droughts followed floods. The species that survived were not the ones adapted to one environment. They were the ones who could adapt to any environment. She saw she had their attention now. Even the hostile faces were listening. Humans evolved as persistence hunters. We were not fast enough to catch prey in a sprint. So we chased them for hours, for days. We ran them to exhaustion, and then we killed them. We learned to track, to predict behavior, to work together in coordinated groups. We developed tools to make up for our physical limitations. We used fire, weapons, clothing, shelter. When we could not adapt to the environment, we made the environment adapt to us. But more than that, we learned to learn. Human children are helpless for years because our brains take so long to develop. Why? Because we are not born with instincts that tell us everything we need to survive. We are born with the capacity to learn anything we need to survive. We adapt not just over generations, but within our individual lifetimes. Lauren pointed to the section where captured humans sat, watching. Danny, Amy, Kevin, others she had never spoken to, but who had fought their own battles. I am not special among my kind. I am a scientist. Danny is a pilot. Amy is an engineer. Kevin is a farmer. None of us are soldiers. None of us trained for combat. Yet we survived in your arena because we did what humans do. We observed, we analyzed, we adapted, we found patterns and exploited them. We turned our disadvantages into advantages. The crowd was silent now, listening. You want to know what makes humans dangerous? It is not strength. It is not speed. It is stubbornness. When the universe says you cannot, we say, watch us. When logic says we should die, we find a way to live. When we are outmatched, we change the rules of the match. She paused, letting her words sink in. My planet tried to kill us for millions of years. Ice ages, predators, disease, starvation, drought. We survived it all, not by being the strongest species on Earth. We were not by being the fastest. We were not, but by being too clever to kill, too persistent to give up, and too adaptable to stay defeated. I won 14 fights in your arena, not because I am special, because I am human. Any human could have done the same. Given time to observe, time to think, time to adapt, we find ways to win. This is what we are. This is what evolution made us. Lauren's voice grew harder now, colder. You made a mistake when you raided our colonies. You thought we were prey. You were wrong. Humans have no natural predators on Earth anymore. Do you know why? Because we killed them all. Every species that hunted us, we hunted back harder, smarter, more efficiently. We are not prey. We are the species that turned predation into a science. The crowd shifted uncomfortably. Some looked frightened. Good, Lauren thought. They should be. Right now, Earth does not know where I am, does not know where you took us, but they will find out. Human ships are everywhere in this region of space, exploring, mapping, trading. Eventually, one will hear about your arena games, about the humans you captured. And when they do, you need to hope they are feeling merciful. Because if they are not, you will learn what organized human warfare looks like. Not arena combat, not duels, but systematic military action, humans working together with technology, strategy, and coordination. We have weapons that could crack this planet like an egg, ships that could blockade your system, soldiers trained specifically to kill efficiently, and we have something else, memory. Humans remember. We hold grudges. We can hate for generations. The silence in the arena was total now. Lauren softened her tone slightly. But we also forgive. We also cooperate. We also choose peace when peace is possible. I do not want war between our species. I do not want revenge. I want you to understand what you are dealing with. We are not prey. We are survivors from a world that tried everything to kill us and failed. Respect that, and we can be friends. Ignore it, and you will regret it. She looked at Krath. I am told I must fight one more match before I am freed, so let us finish this. But know that whatever happens here today, Earth's children are not to be taken lightly anymore. The crowd erupted in noise, some cheering, some arguing, some afraid. Krath raised his arms for silence. When the arena quieted, he spoke. Lauren Carter has spoken truth. We judged humans by our standards and found them lacking. But we failed to understand that different environments create different strengths. Earth is what we call a death world, not because of gravity or toxins, but because of constant change and competition. Humans are products of that world. He made a formal gesture. I declare that humans are no longer to be taken for arena games, no longer to be treated as prey. They have earned our respect through blood and courage. Lauren Carter, you have one final fight, not for survival, but for honor. Win or lose, you go free afterward, along with all other human prisoners. A gate opened. Lauren's final opponent stepped out. It was not a creature or a warrior. It was a Vakrin, Krath's own student, a fighter named Tesh, who had won over 100 arena matches. The crowd roared approval. Tesh approached the platform. I wish to test myself against you, human, not to kill, to understand. Will you face me? Lauren looked at the Vakrin warrior. It was giving her a choice. Respect, not compulsion. I will, she said. The fight that followed was different from all the others. Tesh was skilled, experienced, and strong. But Tesh also fought with honor, testing Lauren's abilities without trying to simply crush her. It became a conversation through combat, each learning about the other. Lauren lost. After 30 minutes, she could not keep up anymore. Exhaustion took her, and Tesh's blade stopped a centimeter from her throat. But the crowd cheered anyway. She had fought with honor. She had shown them what a human could do. Tesh helped her to her feet. You would have been a legend on my world. You are a legend here now. True to Krath's word, Lauren and all the other humans were released. They were given a ship, provisions, and coordinates to the nearest human colony. As they prepared to leave, Krath approached Lauren one final time. Your words today will spread across our empire. Some will fear humans. Some will respect them. Some will want to test themselves against your kind, but none will ever again call you prey. Lauren looked at the old Vakrin. Will there be peace between us? That depends on what your people do when they learn of this place. If they come in anger, we will fight. If they come in peace, we will welcome them. The choice is theirs. And if human warriors want to come fight in your arena voluntarily? Krath's eyes brightened. That would be interesting. Very interesting indeed. The human ship left Vakros Prime 3 days later. Lauren stood at the window, watching the planet shrink behind them. 40 humans had been freed, 40 survivors of an arena designed to kill them. Not all had been as lucky as her. Some had died in their fights. But enough survived to tell the story. Word reached Earth 6 months later. The response was measured but firm. Diplomatic ships arrived at Vakros Prime with proposals, recognition of human sovereignty, cessation of raids, cultural exchange, and formal apologies to the families of those who had died in the arena. The Vakrin agreed to everything. They had learned their lesson. Within a year, the first human volunteers arrived at the arena. Soldiers who wanted to test themselves. Martial artists curious about alien fighting styles. Adventurers seeking glory. They fought, and they won more often than probability said they should. Lauren Carter returned to Europa Station and her research. She never spoke publicly about her time in the arena. But in bars on distant colonies, in military academies on Earth, in diplomatic halls across a dozen systems, people told her story. The scientist who survived. The human who taught the galaxy to respect humanity. She entered their arena to die. She left as their greatest fear. And humanity, young among the stars, learned that sometimes the best way to earn respect was to show the universe exactly what a death world could create when it made a species in its own image. Not the strongest, not the fastest, but the most adaptable, the most persistent, the most human. She is one human, one scientist. Until we understand their full military capacity, they remain potential. But I will not risk turning that potential into certainty by continuing to antagonize them. Krath turned to Lauren. You will fight once more, a final match. Then I will grant you freedom and return you to your people. But first, you must do something for me. What? Lauren asked. You must speak to our people. Tell them about humans. Tell them about Earth. Make them understand what we have learned. Because if you do not, there are others who will continue to see your species as prey. And I think that would be very bad for everyone involved. In her cell, Lauren was changing. Her body was leaner now, harder. Months of fighting had burned away softness and built muscle. But the real changes were mental. She saw the world differently now. Every movement was calculated. Every sound was information. Every opponent was a puzzle to solve. Amy watched her with concern. You're not the same person who came here. Lauren looked at her reflection in the water dispenser. Amy was right. The scientist who studied fish was gone. In her place was something else, something the arena had created. None of us are the same, Lauren said quietly. Danny won his fights too, and Kevin, we're adapting. It's what humans do. But at what cost? Amy asked. Lauren did not have an answer for that. She just knew that tomorrow they would send her back into the arena. And she would fight. And she would win. Because the alternative was death. And humans were very, very good at avoiding death. On through luck as much as skill. Gresh had underestimated her, had not known what a human could do. The next opponent would not make that mistake. But she had learned something today. These aliens bred fighters. They trained warriors and made them strong. But Earth had done something different. Earth had made survivors. It had made creatures that could adapt, that could learn, that could turn any disadvantage into an advantage given time. The question was whether she would have enough time. Over the next few days, guards came to check on her. Medical technicians treated her wounds with devices that made her bones knit faster than should be possible. They wanted her healed. They wanted her ready to fight again. On the 5th day after her victory, they came for her again. Different opponent this time, different challenge. Lauren walked back into that arena and heard the crowd's roar. It was louder now. They were not sure what to expect from the human anymore. She looked across the sand at her new opponent. It was faster than Gresh, sleeker, built for speed and precision rather than power. It had blades growing from its forearms and confidence in every movement. The gate closed behind her. The twin suns blazed overhead. The fight began, and Lauren Carter, marine biologist from Earth, began to teach the galaxy what it meant to be human. Lauren stepped out onto sand that burned her feet. She looked up at thousands of alien faces in the stands. They were cheering, excited for the show. Above them, 2 suns blazed in a purple sky. Across the arena, a gate opened. Something huge stepped out. It walked on 4 legs but had 4 arms as well. Its body was covered in thick plates of natural armor. Its head was small, but its jaws looked strong enough to bite through metal. The crowd roared louder. They chanted a name. This creature was a champion, a killer. Lauren stood in the center of the arena, unarmed and alone. The creature began to move toward her. She could see its muscles bunching under its armor. It was getting ready to charge. She had no weapons, no armor, no advantages. But she had something they did not expect. She had a human brain, built by millions of years of evolution to solve problems and find patterns. She had human endurance, designed for hunting across endless plains. She had human stubbornness, the kind that had taken her species from caves to the stars. The creature charged. Lauren moved.